session is going to be about embedding big data analytics culture in the organization, because as we continue with this journey of data science, it's important to appreciate the fact that we do not operate in a vacuum. We are coexisting amongst other systems in the organization. So it's always important to see how to ground ourselves in the adoption of the data analytics culture, and how can we be able to encourage the organization to move at the same pace with us. Okay. Daniel, are you okay now? Can you be able to hear? So you'll just type as you try to sort out the sound. Yeah, so today's session is primarily to help us appreciate exactly how we're going to do that. And I've already uploaded this presentation on Slack. So you'll find it under the book review. Yeah. So I've made this presentation in an easy way so that you can actually share it amongst your departmental colleagues, or even within the other departments, as we move closer to being data evangelists in organizations. So remember what I've mentioned about, we need to continue sharing and encouraging this information to flow seamlessly within the organization. So yeah, we've been looking at how and what's driving this people revolution. And just to remind you, we mentioned that people who are ourselves, and then people who are the employees in the organizations, are driving the data revolution. Yeah, the second aspect is industries and the shifting industry boundaries. Yeah, more or less regulatory environment that's shifting is enabling the adoption of big data. If you look at today, we had the new bill on social media being signed into law. That one is going to define how we use or adopt social media usage amongst the different communities that we interact with. So it's going to be an interesting scenario to see how it evolves. Of course, we are a little lagging behind in terms of data privacy. We've seen a lot of hue and cry around the Huduma number. People trying to understand what the government going to do with all that data. Yeah, so those are some of the shifting industry boundaries that are defined by the people. People becoming more aware about their rights. People consuming more and more mobile phone information. So the mobile phone information is under technology. We are seeing adoption of new technologies both in the workplace and with us as individuals. Yeah, so the more and more mobile phone conversations you're having, the more and more mobile apps you download, it's leaving behind what you call the digital footprint. And those digital footprints are becoming an aspect that we can use for doing analysis. So just in those three aspects are the key aspects that I'd like you to remember as the key drivers of the data revolution. And as we move on with this journey, you might need to appreciate the role that this is doing in the use of data in the organization. Yeah, so as we move on, just to summarize, number one, people. Yeah, so you yourself in your nature, you've evolved, and I will be showing shortly how you've evolved. The industry boundaries have shifted, new laws have come into place, we have new competitors in the marketplace. We also have the changing perception of how these platforms operate. Platforms like Uber never used to be there before, so we've seen a new boundary being moved of mobile enabling taxis. Yeah, we've seen Airbnb coming into place. We've seen now individuals being able to afford cheap housing based on the demand and supply that has been enabled by the mobile phone technology. Then thirdly, technology itself has evolved. Yeah, so we are moving from an era where we had to do batch processing, for instance, into episodic batch or episodic analysis, for instance, into real-time analysis. This is being enabled by technology, and the reason why we are doing this course is to be able to link business, technology, and strategy. Yeah. So I'll move on to the next slide. And I just want to make sure that we're all together. I can see Ken has joined us. Mul has also joined. Are you guys able to hear us? Just wave by way of acknowledging on the chat. Daniel, I hope your voice was sorted. Are you able to hear us now? Okay, Ken. Yeah, thank you. How about Mulo? Okay. Raise the volume. Okay, just you have done that. All right. Yeah. Okay, Mula, I can see you're following in from the mobile phone, so I assume maybe you're in traffic, but it's okay. We'll have to proceed. Yeah. So just to give a recap, today's session is about embedding data culture in the organization. As we acquire these skills, it's important to see how we're able to anchor the whole organization and rally them behind the adoption of big data, because it will be futile to have the skills and have a foundation that's very weak for you to implement the skills that you've gained in this course. So this is an aspect that runs parallel to the acquisition of your day-to-day or the skills that we've set in place for you to gain. Now, there is a digital transformation trends for 2019. That's the slide that's right ahead of you. Yeah. So what we're looking at is an infograph from this ZD.net. It shows where the key focus for this year is globally in terms of digital transformation. And actually, you can see here that the data foundation is becoming critical. What this means is most meetings that you will go in at CEO level, the CEO is asking you, show me the data. Yeah. CEOs are becoming the drivers of digital transformation. The conversation is shifting. They are not looking now at the day-to-day performance, but they're looking at what data or what evidence are you able to share with them. Okay, Daniel. Yeah, I'm glad that you're okay now. Yeah, what data are you able to share? So, for example, all the departments within an organization are being asked to present their data. Okay, so if you are in production or if you're in sales, if you are in marketing, if you are in HR, the conversation is relying around data. Yeah, so data is becoming the key foundation that most organizations are driving towards. So what does this mean, for instance? Yeah, so if you look at the aspect of our CEOs leading in digital transformation, we are finding that a lot more emphasis is being put around the use of data in making decisions. Yeah. So what does that call for? So it's called in an era of awareness, and later on we'll be looking at a a data adoption curve where it will put different. You'll be put in different you'll be put in different categories from early adoption to maturity level of adoption. Yeah. So the CEOs leading in digital transformation means a lot of budgets are being allocated, yeah, towards that resource. And then also, a business needs to have a strategy around data. Yeah. So if your organization does not have a data strategy, this is the right time to start having that discussion. It's important that you become the driver of that, because we used to have marketing strategy, we used to have finance strategy, customer acquisition strategy, but now the key buzzword is data strategy. This is becoming a key thing that organizations should have. Yeah. And if you remember what we talked about digital adoption, there's what you call the digital systems. These digital systems, the aspects of our interaction with our stakeholders, be it customers, employees, or shareholders. Yeah, these digital ecosystems are communicating to each other. Yeah. So one of the key drivers for that is the systems. Yeah. So ensure that the IT department is well anchored in appreciating and understanding where we get towards, what kind of systems are in place at the moment. And that's why we have the data engineering course, primarily targeting the IT departments to be able to appreciate the new ways of storing data and processing data. We have also another aspect, which is the open digital ecosystem. Yeah. So this ensures that we reduce reliance and start fearing the what we call the open source platforms. Yeah. So these open digital ecosystems are enabling us to get more precision in terms of data. We're able to have less costs in terms of acquisition of data, and it requires special tools and techniques. And this course has a fair share of those techniques that you can use to acquire data, for example, from social media, from mobile phone data, and especially social media, which can be combined with other sources of data. You, yeah, so you might have had a session with the gentleman called Ali, yeah, the GIS expert. So he showed you how he collects data from open source systems, including Google, WHO, World Bank, and combines that data. So that's what we call the open digital ecosystem. And the now on top of that, we have now the digital change agents. Yeah, then we have the workers, and then we have the leadership. Now these are very important aspect. Who are these digital change agents? Yeah. So from experience, you have from my interaction with the organizations, I've been encountering um, what the segment of employees who we call now the early adopters. So these are people who are not necessarily tech savvy, but they are full aware of the emerging technologies, and they all seek out to go and find out what the technology is all about. And that group is you, yeah, who have enrolled for this course. Yeah, so I'd like to encourage you because you're the digital change agents. You between yourselves, yeah. So you have an influential capacity in the organization to be able to influence and rally the workers, yeah, and more so the leaders of the organization to be able to drive this change within the organization. Yeah. So yeah, for me, it's just to appreciate the fact that you've stepped forward to enroll for the course. You're becoming the leaders within the organization to start triggering that change. Yeah, so we are there to support you. And that's why I said today's presentation is primarily to help you understand and appreciate what role you're going to play within your organization as change agents. Yeah, to be able to help the embedding of that culture in the organization. Yeah, so I hope that explains that pillar from foundation to digital systems to open digital ecosystems, digital change agents, all the way to the leadership of the organization. Okay, so I mentioned about the CEO's role in leading digital transformation. Yeah, there's also what you call digital education and skill building for workers. So this is a big trend this year globally. So it may not be happening in your organization because you did your budgets last year, but trust you me, by next year there'll be a lot of this going on. Yeah, yeah. So of course, we've seen partnerships with the academic institutions to drive this education. We've seen vendors coming to provide specific modules where they're training you on new modules upgraded using data analytics. But again, these efforts will be intensified. Yeah. The other aspect is a better integration of digital initiatives. Yeah, so that's another big trend that we'll see. So there's a lot of silo mentality in organization at the moment, but that is going to be an issue of the past as most leaders and departmental heads move towards putting their heads together to share data among themselves and integrate the digital initiatives. Then there's the aspect of scaling digital change more sustainably. The issue of costs comes in here. And so you're being asked to, most organizations are set to embrace open source so that they can be able to cut down on the expenditures they experience using vendor tools. The other part is improved leadership communication. Yeah, so work groups or work committees being set up, clear meetings that have clear agendas, clear structures of communication. Yeah, so we are seeing this increasingly being adopted. Then the GDPR, of course, digital regulation as a headwind. This has brought in a lot of changes, especially in Europe, but we are yet to experience it here, but it's coming in piecemeal. Yeah, of course, with the ratification of the social media law today by the president, it signals a new era where there's more attention that will be paid towards data protection. Yeah, so it's good to anchor ourselves against that develop. I mean, how that subject is developing and prepare ourselves for that. Yeah. So on the top technology trends. So yeah, we talked about strong enterprise data foundation. Yeah, investment to reduce technical debt. So for corporations that rely a lot on technology, so there's a lot of investments. Yeah, to technical debt comes as an aspect of uh, investing in a technology that's already extinct, and we'll be looking at that shortly. One of those technologies, why do you end up with such a scenario? Then refining and updating cloud strategy. So this is a key aspect that most organizations needs to look at, especially alignment to GDPR. Yeah. And there's delivering customer experience faster and better, then adopting and emerging technology even faster. Yeah. So these are key aspects. We are saying that because of some key barriers to decision making, some technology we may be fully aware of, you might attend this training and you might acquire the skills, but when you go back to organization, the adoption rate is so slow. So that's what we talk about fast adoption. So this is a key trend around this, and we'll be looking at it shortly. Yeah. So let's move to the next slide. And so this shows the evolution of technology as it were. Yeah. So first we had the industrial revolution where we had the steam, and secondly we moved to the electricity revolution. Thirdly, we moved to the industrial revolution, which had computing. Now we are still here, though, of course, this has really advanced. This is the birth of mobile phones, smartwatches, yeah. But then we are moving to an era today where we talk about intelligence. Yeah, so from the data that these machines were generating, we are now able to create platforms and tools, for example, in green energy, self-driving cars, robotic process automation, cloud storage facilities that are able to intelligently communicate to each other. Now, our focus at this industrial revolution edge is moving towards intelligence. So, intelligence, what you call machine intelligence. And the computing era was about the processing speed. So, the computers were becoming more faster. Yeah. But even with the speed that the computers were moving with, the instructions had to be given by humans. The fact that we are moving towards here is that instructions are being given by machines, and machines are learning from humans and able to execute functions much quicker and more precisely with more precision than human beings. So I think I need to encourage you to focus on the aspect of machine intelligence being a key driver of the current industrial revolution, and where you as a profession, where you sitting in all that ecosystem. So just to remind you, what you talked about what are the components of machine intelligence? So number one is the computational speed of the environment that we are exposing the data to. Secondly, is the availability of the data. So whereas in the computing era, we used to rely mostly on structured data, now we have a variety and there's more structured data available than ever before. So that makes the systems much more intelligent than ever because they're able to glean and access data that was in very what you call dirty format. If you look at that aspect of mathematical modeling, which is a key driver of intelligence as well. Yeah, I'd mentioned previously that we had some mathematical equations which were invented even during as far as this uh, industrial revolution. But because we didn't have fast computers, most computers will crash anytime. So that equation will be run. But now we have very fast computers with very fast processing speeds sitting on cloud that can be used to compute in fractions of a second some decision. Yeah. So I think looking at that in combination, that's what I'd like to encourage you to move. And The next slide shows exactly what has been happening also to us as human beings. Yeah, because if you remember very well what we studied in our history of getting up to this stage. Okay, this is the evolution of the human, as it were. But we are now sitting in an era where you have what you call the Homo biations. Homo biations are humans who think like machines. Yeah, so this biation comes from the mathematician called Thomas Bayes. Yeah, so it means we are becoming more intelligent and we are becoming more like robots. Yeah, so the fact that we have been working alongside colleagues, now it means we are working alongside robots. Yeah, so we are moving from co-workers to co-robots. Yeah, so there's an aspect of what we call humagoric. So human working alongside algorithm at the workplace to solve human problems. So this just gives you sort of a foundation what to expect. The future of work is changing. Yeah, so whereas you had bigger teams of people working together, as we'll see shortly, the systems are changing, and this is enabling some of such kind of processes to be extinct. Who can tell me what was happening here? You can just type there. What do you think was happening here? Yeah, yes, Zablon, yeah, that was right. So these guys were testing a bulletproof vest. How many of you will volunteer to be the guy who's wearing that vest? Yeah, there's a factory in Germany that was testing a bulletproof vest that way. Yeah, so you can imagine. Yeah, so but if you look at this in the context of our business, we still run our business this way. The kind of risks that we expose ourselves to go the full length of trying to, for example, test a strategy or doing things to be able to verify whether they're working. This is the kind of risk that has been taken away from our by use of machines. Yeah, but how many of you here have ever sat in a wedding committee where they've been asked that we are going to hire bulletproof cars? How do you test those bulletproof cars? It's something that I've always been eager to know. How do you test a bulletproof car? But anyway, let's move to the next one here. Yeah, so these guys are scientists. In 1961, NASA calculating the projectile of going to the moon. What you'll be so surprised, and yesterday those ones who attended linear regression, this is linear regression. Yeah. So can you imagine what these guys are doing, and that can be computed within fractions of a second at this age and time. And you know, these guys, NASA doesn't employ anyone who hasn't gone to Harvard, Stanford, MIT. Can you imagine? These guys were geniuses, and can you look at the length of risk that they are going through? Yeah, to just calculate, combine, and the errors that they will make when they're doing this computation. So those of you who've been following the SpaceX exploitation to the moon, yeah, you're able to compare the strategy. Yeah, for example, for SpaceX and NASA. SpaceX is owned by Elon Musk, and he's been making some very quick advancements towards modernizing the way space exploration is done. He's been able to invent some uh, rockets that actually go to launch a satellite and they come and dock back using a fraction of budgets that NASA uses. As a result, even NASA itself started contracting him with work. Yeah, and yet, how many of you know how old SpaceX is? How old is SpaceX? Yeah, so that's an assignment for you to go and find out. But this is a company that is much, much younger compared to what NASA has. It has a very minute budget compared to what NASA uses. actually SpaceX fundraises from the public. Yeah, so they do fundraising roadshows where they say what their mission is and what achievements have done, and those people who've been committed to seeing the innovations they've been doing have been putting their money. They've been putting their money there. Yeah. So if you look at this aspect of computation, how it's evolved, that makes you realize how this is changing the strategy that organizations are doing. And yeah, I can see um, Daniel here. So Daniel, you're in engineering, and Ken, you're in finance. Yeah. So there's a lot of numbers involved, in this scenario. So how does this impact your career? For example, like in Daniel, from day to day, you always will want to know how is the network optimized, yeah, to deliver value, yeah, for the network. And Joseph, you're always computing about forecasting, audits, trying to discover fraud patterns. Yeah, so are you able now to associate this evolution to the way your career is evolving? Because now, imagine the same work that you're doing now, if you're able to put some of those tasks and automate them on Python, so it leaves your work to be to monitor and look at the variances that are coming out as the output. Yeah, so this is what exactly has happened. So I hope this picture takes you back to see what evolution we're talking about. So we're not just talking about the evolution of human beings, no, we're also talking about the evolution of technology and the evolution of the working environment and the evolution of how we make decisions. Yeah, so I want to move to the next slide, which shows the evolution of Internet of Things. So number one is human to human. Yeah, so we used to talk from, in fact, during our days, used to hear about small communication, and messengers used to be sent from one village to the other to deliver communication. Then we had the train coming, and then we had the buses. Yeah, so as late as late 90s, we used to send money via envelopes. Every time you want to send money to your folks, you used to send it via envelopes. So because it was still human to human. Then mobile telephony came. Then we had SMS, the 2000s. Yeah, so that's the era we call smart networks, the Internet of Content. Yeah, so we had the Tim Berners launched the www, and we had the internet. So there we had emails, information, entertainment. Yeah, locally, here we had the Swift Global, where for you to access emails, you had to pay 50 shillings to read an email, and you used to read an email like you're going to the post office. Yeah. Then we had the Internet of Services, which is the Web 2.0. So here we moved to an era of e-productivity and e-commerce. So people started working online. And people started trading online. Companies like Amazon, eBay never existed before, but they now came into existence. This is the era that we call the IT platforms and services, smart. Okay. Then we have another area for Internet of People, yes, which is the social media, connections, Skype, Twitter, YouTube. Yeah, this was mostly like it was unbelievable that you could connect with someone who's miles away that you'd never met for years. Almost looked unreal, but yeah, we overcame that mystery and became something normal. Then we are now after Internet of Content, we move to the Internet of Services, we move to the Internet of People. Now we are the Internet of Things. Internet of Things is what we call machine to machine. Of course, with the human supervision, but the Internet of Things is a very critical one. Now, at this point, I don't know whether you went to Slack, and I posted a very interesting reading from a church, in the US. How many of you read it? Yeah, so just go to the Slack. You will find I posted this thing. Artificial intelligence as an evangelical statement of principles. So for those of you with soft for religion, I found this very nice in explaining how religion is affecting artificial intelligence. Yeah, it's a very nice reading. Encourage read and make some notes out of it because it's really where we are at the moment and what the position of society is around this discussion. Now, in this machine to machine, this is the era that we exist, and we are talking about semantically structured and shared data. Yeah, we also talk about notification tracking and monitoring and metering. So most things are becoming automated. So here is the era of data. Yeah, data and ambient context. What is ambient context? Ambient context is and what you call now um, unsupervised. Yeah, just because most of the things you have to seek the data, seek the content, non-intrusive. This is more or less non-intrusive approach to solving problems. Yeah, where systems communicate to each other. Yeah, so I think that uh, slide is able to show you how this evolution has been happening from one era to the other, and you can be able to easily get your bearings of where you are. And perhaps when you look at where we are coming from, it's good to see where we are headed and what role you need to play to the next phase. Of course, you remember guys who resisted mobile phones, yeah, where they are today. And some guys who still don't have mobile phones. The guys who resisted in the internet, you know where they are. Yeah, especially, like even you look at the different countries, country like Ethiopia, which has a very high control over their mobile infrastructure, is still very way behind in terms of adoption of our systems. Yeah, so the wastages there are quite humongous. If allow me to move to the next slide, um, I promise to show you the level of adoption of big data. So there's some survey we've done on our website, and we were updating it. I don't know whether it's fully back, but I'll share it within the course of this study. Yeah. So you can be able to do this assessment by yourself and know where you are as an organization. But let's walk through it step by step. Now, level one is infancy. So in infant level, you are thinking about data. Yeah. So your initial big data environment is in place. There's a proof of concept or a pilot. Yeah. So this happens when mostly you go or someone in the organization goes for a conference and then they hear about, hey, there's a big data thing coming up, or you have some guy, vendor who comes and pitches to you a solution. Or when you're doing your strategy, you notice that your competitors are going ahead of you in terms of adoption of data. Yeah, so level one infancy, um, most organizations are there, they're fully aware about it. Some environment is in place, yeah, but then they feel challenged to move to level two, which is the technical adoption. This technical adoption requires some level of expertise, like you need to have people who are trained, yeah. So, for example, using big data mostly for storage and transformation, you find that it's purely an IT, yeah. So, whenever you have any analytics to be done, you have to ask IT to give you the reports. Then some big data exploratory analytics. So you're not doing all, but you're just doing some little. So this is mostly the case with banks. Most banks are this category, and it's important to see how you can move to the level three. But what is the level three adoption? Yeah, so level three business adoption. Now this is where now you're moving from technical adoption to business adoption. Business adoption mean is that now you at least you're able to do some finance analytics, some marketing analytics, some HR analytics. It's not just the infrastructure issue. Yeah, so that data is already to solve some business problems. Yeah, so we are empowering you more individual efforts. So you'll find that one department is ahead of the other. So depending on the conscious levels and availability of tools, the availability of those training that they've had the team. Yeah, so we see predictive analytics applied to big data, use of structured and unstructured. Yeah. Then the fourth level is enterprise adoption. Okay. So this enterprise adoption means now we have data shared. So you have departments sharing data, for example, business, finance, and HR sharing marketing and finance sharing. So it becomes something for the whole organization. Yeah. So this is where we say predicting insights are being adopted to business operations. Yeah. So let's look at the final level, which is the mostly desirable level. Yeah. And at this level, we talk about operating data as a service model. So this is the highest level, and it means everyone within the organization can work on their own analytics. There's no particular department for data analytics, but everyone in the organization is well empowered to do the analytics. This means that if you have it's data first. This is what we call the data first strategy. So anything that you're doing, you have to think around data. Yeah. So most organizations we have here operate enterprise solutions like Tableau, Power BI, which you don't need to have an analytic background for you to run. Yeah, but you're able to just plug in, extract reports, do some comparisons, analysis, and share your report and findings. Yeah. So it takes time before you reach this level for self-service, but it's always a desirable level to be in. But these are unicorns. Very few organizations ever get to this level. Yeah, we'll mostly strive to go to level 4, and we'll empower you to at least get to have the finance and HR analytics, and the marketing analytics, so that at least you can drive and rally organizations towards enterprise adoption. So with this, I just want to see a vote here. Just mention your organization and where you think you're operating from those 4 levels that I've explained. Just type there. Where do you think you're operating? Susan, 1.5. Okay, let's Daniel Safaricom. Okay, 3. And Susan, you didn't say your organization. Ken, also just mention your organization for the sake of the others. Yeah, Safaricom level 3. Okay. Yeah, Sunripe. Yeah, infancy level. Alan. Wow. Alan, you're saying level 1. Okay, county. That should be understandable because of the regime change. Yeah. Yeah, knock 1.5. Okay, good. Yeah, so it's important to see we all at different levels of adoption of this, and sometimes it becomes important for us to consciously, develop a strategy based on our point of reference. Yeah, so when you look, and if you want to put this now within your organization, first, it's a matter of appreciating what resources you have. So if you're at level 2, for instance, leverage on what resources you have, see what else you can build on to move to level 4. Even level 3 also, yeah, leverage on the resources you have, see what you need to build and move on to the next level. But I want to move to the next part, and the next and final part of this. This is the missing link. Why are you at the level that you are? Now, understanding this missing link is important, so at least you can be able to lay a path for you to move on to the next level of adoption. Now, there's this there's this Venn diagram that I found very useful, trying to explain what are the key pillars of digital transformation. Okay, so just go ahead and explain what it means. So the three key pillars in digital transformation are culture, strategy, and technology. Yeah. So we are going to focus more on technology in this course. Okay. But I've talked about embedding data culture. Yeah. So that you'll be able to ensure that your technologies are finding a place. So let's look at this critically. Now, when you talk about technology, now we are talking about cloud technology, API-based automation, yeah, service-oriented architecture, analytics, social, mobile. These are the key technologies that drive digital transformation. However, if you have technology and you have culture, but you lack the strategy, then you find that, yeah, your adoption has no clear direction, because strategy helps define a clear vision. It helps define business outcome and goals. There's a digital strategy, decision frameworks. Yeah. So this strategy is important. So when you do your audit and to find out why are you not moving to the next level as defined here, try to establish, is this a strategy that we need? Is it culture? Are people not buying in? Or is it just a matter of lack of technology? Another scenario, you have a strong culture, strong strategy, but no technology. You find that you have no ability to execute. So this is a case scenario where most organizations who don't have a strong IT team to support, yeah, so they have very nice ideas, references, come back home, nice ideas. They hire a consultant to do for them a strategy. Yeah, but then when the consultant leaves them with the strategy, there's no adoption. Why? Because back the backbone of that technology, I mean the backbone of that strategy, there's a technology that's supposed to drive it, and they lack it. So we'll be shortly looking at some of those barriers for technology adoption, and it'll be very interesting to see why we fare badly under technology. But before we do that, let's look at the other variation. When you have a strong strategy, you have good technology, but no culture. There's no true adoption. No true adoption is here. Okay. So these two will give you a good, yeah, this is good, but when your culture is lacking, then no true adoption. Now, under culture, we have embracement of change, there's collaboration, there's executive buy-in, there's strong digital influence, both functional teams and silos, risk-friendly. This is a big problem, and now culture is always a key element that's driven by HR. Yeah, and when we talk about people working as in silos, it's important to appreciate why we need to have a strong culture of collaboration. Yeah, they also need to appreciate that once the executive buys in uh, into a strategy, it can be adopted, yeah, quite fast. All right. Yeah. So just to summarize again, success comes in when you leverage both. I mean, when you leverage culture, strategy, and technology. Yeah. So it's important to do that audit within your business environment and see where are the gaps and where you lack in terms of that adoption. Yeah. So I know you might have some examples. How do you see yourself faring? I just want to hear from you, from your organization. Where do you think you need to invest more? You can just type in here. Do you think more culture, more strategy, or more technology? Just type in there quickly, and then we move on. Okay, Ken, you're saying culture. Okay, the culture and strategy. Yeah, yeah. So these are three. I mean, if you look at culture, culture is always almost commonly repetitive in most organizations. But then if you look at technology, yeah, we seem to have the right technology, but how we use it and the strategy to drive that technology is always lacking. Yeah, so I'd like to encourage you to continue doing this particular audit and see what role you're going to play in your organization to drive that. Now, I've got another photo here. This photo shows the way we mostly manage. our organization. So we always assume that hiring so many managers will resolve our problems. Yeah. So this error that we're living in for data is an error that creates flatter structures. Yeah, flatter structures in the sense that information flows from one ecosystem to the next with less supervision. Yeah, so you can see the amount of wastages being done here. Yeah, let's move to the next slide. Okay, you're saying something? Just continue. Now, this is an organogram. Okay. So Ken, let's wanted me to repeat this one. So this it shows the kind of wastages we have within our organization, yeah? Because of lack of proper systems for governance, we have so many supervisors. The worker is only one, but you can see here how many guys do we have who are supervising. The top guy here is the CEO. But between the CEO and the worker, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys. Yeah. So one of the tools that we give you in this course about dashboards. So dashboards enable you to have information real time, and it creates a flatter structure where you extinguish all these layers of supervisors. Yeah. Okay, so we have the next slide here. Where are you mostly accused? Ken, we can start with you. If you look at this, where are you guilty? Analysis of paralysis here. Okay. Who else? Alan? Yeah. Onerous reporting. Okay. Yeah, director of bureaucracy. Yeah. And then analysis of paralysis, yeah. Yeah. So we get caught up in these traps within the organization. Sometimes it's not our own wanting, but because of the nature of the work that we do and the requirements that are put upon us by the business, we end up doing this. Yeah. But it's important to see what role you're going to play within the organization to fill this position. And I'm quite confident that you're going to be the managers of new growth and ideas as we continue this course. Yeah. So that position is vacant within the organization. Yeah. So that's my challenge to you. And I think how many slides do you have to go? Yeah, so if you allow me to eat into some bit of your time so that I can just finish the slides that are remaining here. So new skills for new era. that to become a digital leader, organization must develop digital business agility, which combines hyper awareness, informed decision making, and fast execution. So, number one, what is hyper awareness? Are you aware about the changing environment of your business? What are some of the ways of being hyper aware? Yeah, so number one, it's through education. So you've enrolled for this course to be aware about the changes. Secondly, is through interaction with vendors. When your vendors have got systems that are coming up, they brief you about those changes. Yeah. Thirdly, is through reading. Personally, you can read, subscribe to newsletters, check what's happening online every day, blogs, and updating yourself. We also have fast execution. Is another barrier. Yeah, remember in the first slide that I showed you about trends in 2019? Yeah, adopting emerging technology even faster. Yeah, so fast execution is a key strategy. Yeah, there's also informed decision making. So how do you have informed decision making? So in the next slide, it's going to look into that, how you make informed decision making. But let's look at a lack of each. So if you're hyper aware and you make informed decision making, but you execute slowly, a slow mover. Yeah. So companies like Nokia were caught up when they had when they were moving slowly about adoption of smartphones. Yeah. You can be hyper aware, you do fast execution, but you don't make phone following. So you become a fast follower. You follow things very fast, but you are heading in the wrong direction. You become disconnected when you make informed decision making, and you're very fast in execution, but you're executing the wrong technology. Yeah, so this means you're not anchored in the right direction. Yeah, so it's important to realize that you can actually be disconnected from reality when you do that. Yeah, so let's look at the next slide as we wind up. Some of the human decision making biases. And I told you you can have the technology, but when you want to adopt a new technology, some barriers come into place. So the first barrier that we've encountered, especially working with most of our clients, is overconfidence. Yeah. So what they don't want to adopt because they're confident that if it's working, this is mostly for companies that are performing well. Yeah. And we've had this scenario with Kodak, we've had this scenario with Nokia. Yeah. Locally, we've seen it with the media houses. When they're overconfident, they're making sales, they don't want to embrace change. Number two is anchoring bias. Yeah. So this is a tendency to look into a single fact as a reference point for future decisions. Yeah. So for example, you might say that this thing has been performing for us, this system has been working for us. Last year we made a profit, 2 years ago we made a profit, and our profit seems to be the increase. So it's not the right time to change. Yeah. Then there's a trap of a framing effect. Yeah. So these are biases in which a person's decision is influenced by how the decision is presented. Yeah. So, for example, when you go and meet someone, uh, when you go and meet some decision maker and you give a false impression about your product, then they will stick. They'll stick to that impression. Yeah, irrespective of what the real situation on the ground is. But one of the most commonly recurring one is the risk aversion. This is very common in data. So why? Because people don't know about data analytics. It's a new thing. So they tend to avoid it for the simple reason that if they avoid, like what we call the ostrich head in the sand, what you don't know, yeah, you simply doesn't affect you. We have another commonly recurring one, which is sunk costs. Mostly companies have spent some budgets to deploy a solution, and they'll tell you, we've already deployed a solution, so why are we going to a new solution? Okay. Yeah, so these are some of the mostly commonly recurring. You have others, endowment effects, like they believe this is ours, so why do we need to get something from somewhere else? Then confirmation bias. Yeah, so I'll share a link of a book which has a lot of some of this. It's an economic book by Daniel Kahneman. I'll share the link and you can go to read a little bit deeper about these aspects of the decision. Yeah, so as we wind up, I just wanted to share with you two aspects of data in action. So we have for internal processes, then external processes. Yeah, so just to review that this whole conversation will revolve around you helping the business make external linkages in as much as you want to improve your internal processes. Yeah, so be conscious about the enterprise engagement that you have internally, and then also for the ecosystem that you're engaging with externally. Yeah, with your clients. Yeah, so again, another level of adoption that you can look compared to the other curve that we looked at. Yeah, so we have awareness, which is mostly where most people start from. Then after awareness, you move to understanding. Yeah, so you came for this course, now you're doing the understanding bit. Then you want to accept, I'm open-minded to the change, I tell others contribute to analytics vision. Then adoption. And after adoption, you move to ownership. So I'd like to challenge you to see where you are on this journey and how you can move gradually all the way to the ownership of the data transformation within your organization. And then some ideas on how to put a data science team in your organization. So you can be uh, business unit heads, yeah, and then you have a data science team reporting to you, or you can have an independent department for data science and the business, each of them getting a brief from the data science. So these are future options for you. After you finish this course, where do you want to place yourself? So I'd like to challenge you to see how you can grow into this. Yeah, these are the different structure matrix. Another one is a uh, departmental, like one department dedicated to uh, data analytics. Yeah, finally, it's around data ethics. Yeah, so and when you're embedding data culture in the organization, there's morality issues deal with the handling of the data. There's the issue deal with the responsibility, trust, behavior principles, relationships, and reliability. All the business ethics that you need to observe. Yeah, and I'll be sharing more granular notes on this slide, so at least you can be able to anchor yourself around the business ethics of data. And at a later stage, we'll do a workshop exercise that will help us appreciate the value of this within the organization. Yeah, so that's it for today. So any questions so far? Observations?